You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. So, here's what we're going to do. We got 23 calls. We're not going to be able to get through 23 calls. So what I think I'm going to do is everybody gets one call. That's not really true. Everybody gets one call concurrently. So if there's like a 5-caller thing, I'm going to just take the first one. And if you don't finish your thought, then I'm sorry. Now, if you call back 3 calls later, then we'll consider that a new call and we'll go from there. But I got to figure out a way to kind of chop down a few of these calls as we, again, we're out of time here. So, with that said, why don't we go ahead and get started with Daniel. We got everything set from California.
This week is a big week. Not because it's Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, but this is really our opportunity to separate ourselves in the NFC. And the reason why is the Lions are now having their bye week, and they're on the percentage, they're only one game behind currently. If we win this game, that puts us a game and a half in front of, which would technically be 2 games, right? Ahead of the Lions, giving us a pretty good advantage.
Plus a tiebreaker.
Hopefully we can steal this win and keep the momentum going, because that's I'm not really worried about anybody but the Lions. Yes, we beat the Lions. We still have to go play them at their house. Caleb looks like trash. They don't have a quarterback in Minnesota that's good. I know Carson's capable of playing one of those hero ball games where he can come in and beat Green Bay. They got to do 2 of those. Maybe we lose one of those games if Carson wins.
They're looking
the
pretty
quarterback.
bad.
I don't think J.J. McCarthy can beat us. He looks horrible. And I don't look good. I think the Giants could beat us, maybe. They're not the best team, but they have one of those defensive lines. And they just one of those chaos teams that can just come in and play bully ball. Maybe they can start pushing us around a little bit, mobile quarterback. But the Lions in the NFC is really the only competition that's a legit contender to give us a run for our money. And this is our opportunity to get that game and a half. And if we get this win, we're looking. It's just 1 week at a time. Let's just really. Focus on this. And for some reason, if we win out and they win out, we're a game and a half ahead. So if we end up losing to them, we'd still be good. So it's pretty important. I know every week's important, but this kind of gives us a good heads up in the NFC. So I'm excited. I'm pumped. Mike is going to get a bunch of sacks. Let's go. Go Pack Go.
Well, yeah, and not just that, which is obviously super important, but like I've been saying, I really think perception-wise, this is going to be a big deal. There's always going to be some people, the Steelers aren't that good. They were never that good. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of that if we end up winning this game. But I think perception-wise, this is going to kind of stand out compared to some of the competition we've had so far. Nobody really respects a lot of the teams that we beat. Cincinnati was kind of a weird thing where, I think maybe they were given a little bit more credit by the time the Steelers game happened, but everybody kind of forgot at that point. And so the whole narrative is just, a bunch of backups, without even really thinking beyond that. For example, how good these backups are as compared to the people that were in there before. I think every backup we face has probably been an upgrade over the person that was in prior to, with the only even question in my mind being whether Brissett was an actual upgrade. But even if he's not, and I think he is, it's awfully close. So, this is Aaron Rodgers. Again, just look at the hype, look at the narrative. This is a hot Aaron Rodgers team. This is a Steelers team that does not like to lose at home as underdogs and all that stuff. Really quality coach, MVP quarterback playing at an MVP level. There will always be revisionists after the fact, but the reality is, aside from the haters and detractors, I think for the most part, the general public, when you look at the record, and then on top of that, you look at who they've beat, because when it's kind of negative, everybody views things through a negative lens. This will shift it into positive, and then suddenly everything, including what was once a negative, becomes a positive. So instead of, you freaking can't even beat a bunch of backups, or you beat a bunch of backups, or whatever, suddenly it becomes, dude, this team smoked a red-hot, 4-2 Steelers team. They held the Bengals to, however many points they held. Suddenly that's going to be impressive. So, but you have to actually do it first, because the exact opposite is true. Is if you lose, it's going to be, see, I told you that they were frauds. I told you that this was fake. You could just tell they weren't going to actually be able to go toe-to-toe with actual good teams. And honestly, from my perspective, whatever happens, win, lose, or draw, the Packers earned it. If they lose that game, then yeah, they earned that moniker of, they're just not a premier team. And if they win it, I think they earned the labels that they're going to get, which is a legit top-tier playoff team. So yeah, I think the Steelers game is a big deal. More so in perception than anything else, but that's all we're kind of working with right now.
Hey Ryan, Bear Chief Benny. I know I had called about the whole going for it on fourth there, or draft where they converted huge down there, and about how, did Jordan Love seriously argue with him? And apparently it wasn't even that. It was just Lafleur saw the disdain on his face. And I had to watch the press conference and listen to Clayton to understand that. So I still just don't, I don't know.
I said it too, but yeah, that's fine.
You
can just not listen to my podcast.
You know what I mean? And I get the reasoning behind it, because, Lucas has been good, but also then he probably thought, like Lafleur explained, he looked at the time, and then he thought about, Lucas has been good, but, how good can he keep being? This is not a chip shot.
Right, it was 45-ish, something like that.
When are we going to get the one dud from him,
Right.
So, I get it, but I'm glad that Lafleur had the wherewithal to look at Jordan and be like, okay, he's got some confidence right now. He thinks that they can get this, so. I guess I stand corrected on what I said about that, or I guess I was wrong. He didn't argue about it. But anyways, the thing about it is he was going to be okay with just tying it there. And granted, honestly, I think we lose the game. If we don't get that.
Well, you're probably right, but I think we lose if you don't convert that fourth down also. So that's kind of the point, right? For some people it's a much easier decision than I think it should be. It's not automatic. It is a big deal, especially when your offense is not fully clicking, to say, just go ahead and run this, and if you don't get it, then we lose. You know what I mean? So, I'm sure the analytics say go for it. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But again, it's not that easy. It is a tough decision. If you run this fourth, you're making this the game. And if you make a bad call, if your quarterback makes a bad decision, if your offensive line can't block properly, if your wide receiver can't run his route, if your wide receiver slips, if your wide receiver drops it, you just lost the game on that one decision. So it's a big decision.
Dude, but I'm just overall just happy that it worked out. And I think Lafleur was aggressive this past weekend or Sunday. I think it was good. I think the 2 times going for it in fourth and Jordan being the clutch up to Golden and to Kraft, I think it was great. And obviously you can't do it on every time. If they're in if we're in our own territory, that's not good. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So go Pack Go.
Fair enough. Go Pack Go. Yeah, I mean that's either way. You know, the coach made the right decision, the players made the right plays, and that was just consistently how we ended up winning that game. But that would be my only contribution to the discussion is, at least for me, and I think understandably so for the coaches, it's not a very easy decision. It's not, well, the analytics say 55%, just go. All right, I guess. I don't know.
What up, Brian? Corey from Ohio.
What's up?
Like some things about that game this weekend. Don't like other things, but we got the W. That's all that matters. Micah Parsons finally had the game we've been all waiting for.
Right.
He goes in and absolutely wrecks shit. So that was nice to see. The pass rush in general, besides him, looked like they got a lot more pressure. That was nice to see.
It's amazing what time can do.
I think with a pass rush like that, if you're gonna utilize it, we gotta start playing up on these guys and press coverage. If that's part of your defense is your pass rush and you want it to be elite, you can't give up those dink and dunks where they get rid of the ball. Otherwise, you just take your pass rush out of the game. You got a lower percentage of completing the pass downfield as it is because it's a farther pass. I think we just need to play up closer and try to let that pass rush hit home. Other than that, I like some things I've seen from the offense. Tucker Kraft used him a little bit more. I really wish they'd get Golden going, though, man. I don't know what the heck is going on with that, but my gosh, we got to start getting that dude the ball. His PFF grades are showing that he's scoring pretty high. He's running routes, so I don't know what's quite going on with it. I hope to see something more. And besides for that, I wonder what your thoughts on that stuff were, and also wondering what are your thoughts on the upcoming game. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous.
Should be.
If anybody knows Lafleur well, it's Rodgers. If anybody knows our cornerbacks well and our defense well and knows who to attack and how to attack them, it's Rodgers. All that, and we're in Pittsburgh. We traveled out west to play a road game, to come back to then have to go to Pittsburgh to play another road night game. And then they're on 10 days rest because they played last Thursday on a mini bye.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Curious what you're thinking, how you feel about this game. You think it's one we're going to pull out? You think one we possibly are going to drop? I don't know. Let me know later.
Well, like I said, as far as conspiracy theories go, I don't think it's the most far-fetched conspiracy theory to say that not only did the NFL want this game, but they really wanted to see Rodgers come away with the win, because it feels like things are set up significantly better for them than it is for us, which I think is, well, fair. You know, I would say that if I was the NFL, I might have done the same thing. But, you know, whatever. I'm certainly nervous about the game. I've talked about it a little bit in the past, talk about it more tomorrow when we go a little bit more in depth on like the schematic side of their team and all that stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be doom and gloom. We obviously have a team that can handle it. There's no doubt about it. But they just have to play up. I mean, you have to be better than you have been. You don't have to be mega elite. They have their issues as well. But, you know, I think in summary, you know, it's not just one side. Go ahead.
Someone is at the front door.
Yeah, I know. It's not just one side of things where it's like, well, if our defense can get to Rodgers, then I think we win. I think you could argue that, but the other side of that coin, because the summary of the Steelers is their offense is carrying their defense. Go figure, Rodgers. It's the Rodgers curse. So you could look at it and say, I mean, if we can contain their offense, then we're good. But on the other side of that, if the defense is going to be attackable, you have to take advantage of that. And it's not going to do any good if our defense is able to kind of hold them back, like I feel like we've watched for the last several weeks. and the offense just isn't quite capitalizing, and you just feel like this impending collapse is coming, and I don't think we have a big enough lead kind of a deal, you know? If the entire reason the Steelers are susceptible is because their defense, then you have to actually be able to execute against the defense. If you can't, then that goes right out the window. So, you know, it sounds obvious, but we need both sides of this. We need the defense that can step up, that can get pressure on Rodgers. Good Lord.
Someone is at the front door.
And we need our offense to be able to attack the weaknesses of this defense. And I think that's going to be easier said than done, man, because, I mean, when you look at it just feels like the stars are aligning a little bit. You know, again, I've talked about the statistics of the Steelers and Tomlin in this situation, and Tomlin dominates. Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football is, it's something special usually, and he's just starting to ramp up. So I mean, it's a very winnable game when you just look at the X's and O's and the individual pieces and the matchups and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, you start stacking the big picture pieces together, and it's got me nervous for sure. But the benefit of that is I get to come into this without this expectation of, this is a terrible team, you better beat them, and you better beat them by 1,000. No, man, you get out of this game with any kind of a W you want. I don't care if you need to cheat. I don't care if you need to cheat with the refs and bribe the refs. I don't care what you got to do. The ugliest garbage win in the history of the world. Rodgers just goes psycho mode. He's tripping on ayahuasca, throwing picks all day long. I don't care what you got to do. I am not going to judge any kind of a win after this game, I promise you. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got Zach in Buffalo, Chris from Alabama, and Ron from Eau Claire.
Here we go. Steelers, here we go. Pittsburgh's going to the toilet bowl. What's up, guys? Zach in Buffalo here. Listen, I am so excited to face Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. Look, we might get our bell rung, but oh man, it's a long time coming. Listen, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. The dude's the reason I'm a Packers fan, a football fan, a cheesehead. But listen, I'm so excited because this feels like, honestly, the first true like competitor that we faced in a couple weeks here. Maybe you can argue that, sure, but I'm just so excited to send these damn Steelers to the toilet bowl, baby. I want to see JJ getting 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. I want to see Tucker Kraft snapping helmets in half. Oh, I'm so ready for this. I'm calling it. My one call of the game, I think old man Rodgers is going to sail a ball right into number 29, Xavier McKinney's hands, baby. Let's go. Go, Pat. Go. Send the Steelers to the toilet bowl.
Well, now I feel bad getting all whiny and complainy about this game as you're getting everybody all jacked up. No, I mean, it's not going to be hard to get fired up for this game. I mean, this is going to feel like a playoff game, partially because of all the implications, like we talked about, how big of a deal. I mean, if we win, what that does for us in the standings. If we lose, what that does for us in the standings. The perception angle of it, you know, I think we're a good team if we win. I think we're a team if we lose. And then there's the Rodgers angle. There's going to be the hype of it. It's Sunday Night Football. I mean, there's everything. There's 1,000,001 different reasons why this is going to be a wildly exciting game. So I'm very excited to be very excited. That's for sure. Chris, what you got going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Chris from Alabama.
What's up, dude?
Man, I got a random thought, really, man. It's not really no one that calls in on here that's really talking about this. You kind of talked about it the other day a little bit on the podcast about Matt Lafleur. And I'm just sitting here chilling, trying to wind down before I go to bed. I'm scrolling down TikTok. You know, I got a lot of Green Bay Packer content on my TikTok page, of course. Oh, I'm going through looking at the different little videos, and I come across the little press conference clip of the press conference where Matt LaFleur was talking about, you know, the fourth down play and, you know, how Love came to the sideline. He kind of saw the look on his face, you know, the disdain look or whatever. And, you know, called the timeout. So, you know, they decided to go for it or whatever. I just jump in the comments and I'm just kind of baffled. I don't understand the dislike for Matt LaFleur. I don't understand.
It's pretty intense.
I don't understand why a lot of Packer fans, like I said, nobody that really calls here, but just in general, like it's a lot of Packer fans that really want Matt LaFleur fired, and I can't really understand it. But from that post, it took it like, oh well, LaFleur's second guessing himself, and see how he second guesses himself. He's not a real coach. He can't make a decision. He should stand by his decision. And I'm thinking, like, I've been watching football a long time.
Right.
And I've been seeing, I have seen scenarios where top quarterbacks have literally did this to coaches, and sometimes they go with the call, sometimes they stick with it.
Yep.
I've seen Patrick Mahomes do this.
It happens all the time.
They call a timeout. They come to
all
field
the
goal.
time.
They call a timeout, and all of a sudden, home back on the field. I've seen this. I've seen it with Rodgers.
Yep.
I've seen it with Favre. I've seen it with Manning. I've seen it with Brady. I've seen it with a whole lot of hell. I've seen it with like lesser caliber quarterbacks.
Sure.
I've even seen this in college.
Yeah.
So I'm not understanding why it has to come off as LaFleur second guessing himself. Why it can't come off as LaFleur trusting his quarterback to make the play in the big moment, which what he actually said in the clip. It just baffles me sometimes, and I think, I really think
it's going to be hard to stick to my my thing here, but I think I am gonna. We'll end it there. But no, I think it comes down to several things. First of all, I mean, people made up their mind before the game that they don't like Matt LaFleur. And so essentially what happens is it's kind of I think it's a pile of things. And it's not to say that people are always wrong, but I think that this does happen in some cases. First of all, we're too critical of the team in general. We don't have perspective. We think everything is a lot worse than everybody else. And it's just completely untrue. Other teams go through very similar things, but we play this game where it's like, only we would do this, only Matt LaFleur, et cetera, et cetera. It's nonsense. That's kind of part one. The other is when things go wrong, we don't know why, but we have to assign blame somewhere, and Matt LaFleur's just that guy. If something's wrong, it's Matt LaFleur's fault. And it's not even just necessarily like the buck stops here kind of a thing. It's legitimately people are coming up with random excuses, whatever they can come up with, to explain why it's Matt LaFleur's fault. It's not like, hey, that's probably on Jordan, but technically, no. It's, again, they're Matt LaFleur's holding this team back, right? That whole ridiculous trope that I would love for anyone to explain to me how they come to that conclusion. But that's kind of what it is. It's just, whenever there's a problem, and this, like you said, this is one of those things, and I have heard some people kind of go with the positive angle, and there tend to be either pro Matt LaFleur people or just, in my opinion, rational people that are just happy that a good decision was made. But some people just always have to twist it into a negative because, I mean, it just I think in some cases, if we think of sports like politics, everything starts to make a lot more sense. This is exactly how everybody handles politics also.
Someone is at the front door.
I know. It doesn't matter how good, if a person that you politically dislike or the party that you politically dislike cures cancer, suddenly it's, cancer now completely without jobs. It's the worst thing that's ever happened, and I can't believe this, and you are the worst party in the world that you would even think of doing something so evil. It's the same thing here, to a hopefully less vitriolic degree, although I don't know about all that. It's the same thing. It's just whenever something goes wrong, I have to find a way to twist it into being Matt LaFleur's fault. And if they don't like Gutekunst, then it's Gutekunst. Some people do it with Rodgers. I think that's the one positive here, is that part of the reason Matt LaFleur is being blamed is because the fan base, I think by and large, with some lingering exceptions of the sort of like rabid, psychotic Rodgers people who are mad at Love for some reason because of just the weirdest people. But outside of like that small vein of fans, I think most are on the Rodgers train. And so when it comes to I have to blame somebody, it's kind of a process of elimination. Well, I'm not going to blame Love. I like Love. It's not his fault. And I'm not going to blame Golden for Golden not getting the ball. We can't do that because I love Golden. I mean, he's awesome. Not going to blame any of our like receivers or running backs or any of that. Could probably blame the offensive line when necessary. But if I can't blame the offensive line, I don't know what else to do but to blame the coach. And then it kind of compounds a little bit because in reality, it's probably a little bit coach, little bit Love, little bit offensive coordinator, little bit this, little bit. But because we're so one-sided in it, now it's like, bro, look at all these mistakes he's made. It's like, well, it's just because you keep making crap up, dude. He didn't actually make all those mistakes. You just blame him for everything, and it seems as though the guy makes a million mistakes. So I think that's a big part of it. But again, there's also a wide range of Packer fans, too. There's some people that like LaFleur that are sometimes just being critical because they believe it. Sometimes there are people that are objective, and then sometimes you got just the straight-up absolute haters that are just going to dump everything on him. And I think in this situation, you're mostly getting the hater comments. When the coach did something good for a good reason with a positive result, and you find a negative way to spin that, you're very, very likely just in 100% hater territory.
What's up, Ryan? Hey, Aaron from Eau Claire.
Yo.
I was just listening to your PFF breakdown of the different performances, and
sure.
You were mentioning Isaiah McDuffie had a really good grade and has been performing really well. And I just wanted to say I've just been a long-time fan of Isaiah McDuffie. He's always been a real solid, like, rotational player. And I also just think he just looks like a guy who just wants to, like, beat you up, you know? But, like, he looks like a nice guy.
Classic
like,
linebacker.
He looks like a guy that, when he gets on the field, like, you know, he's rough and tumble, and he's going to get you down to the ground. So I love the guy. I think he's one of my favorite Packers right now. And so, yeah, I'm on Team McDuffie. Let's go.
Yeah, McDuffie, I think it was kind of the entire fan base was on that train for a long time. I think it might have been last year he really kind of fell off, especially as like Edgerrin and Quay kind of started to step up. Even like Tyron Hopper was looking kind of good in the very limited amount. I was starting to wonder, like, maybe it's just not really going to work with him, which sucks because he's been a solid linebacker for us in the limited times that we've seen him. But he's making a bit of a resurgence this year in a pretty spectacular fashion. And again, it might be a little fluky. I don't really know. It's certainly a very, I don't remember exactly the number, but it's one of those where it's like, all right, well, that's not going to be sustainable, I don't think. But, you know, you got to appreciate what he's been doing for us for a long time. He's been put in some pretty tough spots. We've had pretty bad stretches with linebackers. And I think he's just one of those guys, you know, even if the fan base isn't as high on him as we kind of used to be, I don't think there's going to be very many fans that don't have some level of appreciation just because the guy has always kind of been there. He's always been pretty clutch. And, yeah, I mean, it's just, he's just one of those guys that, you know, nobody like loves the guy because he's not a superstar. But you just never, you love the guys that you never worry when you see him on the field. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, what's he doing out there? It's kind of like Malik Heath. You see Heath out there, and it's like, oh, what happened to the other guys, I wonder. But I'm not thinking, oh, crap! Freaking Heath, this guy sucks. I don't, like, nobody does that. It's like, oh, nice, Heath. That's cool. He'll probably come up with a clutch, 7-yard pass for us here. It's going to be great. Can't wait for that.
Right. What's up, man? Kyle from Madison. How are you?
What's up, dude?
I don't know exactly when this will air, but I'm assuming we've turned the page to Pittsburgh. At least you have. Maybe people are still calling about the Cardinals, but I'm pretty much immediately thinking about this matchup against the Steelers because I can see this going. I can really see this going either way.
Yeah.
Like, I can see the pissed off Rodgers, who usually gets his revenge, like just going berserker mode.
Sure.
Against this defense. But I can also see a guy who maybe gets a little impatient and starts pushing it because he wants very badly to stick it to the Packers.
Yep.
I'm concerned, though. I'm definitely concerned. I think that the Packers offense is going to be able to score. I mean, just from what I've seen of the Steelers this year, I mean, the defense has been surprisingly bad. So, I don't know. Who the hell knows? Maybe it's the opposite of what anybody thinks and ends up being a 9-6 game.
Right.
That's kind of been the way this season's gone in the NFL. But just kind of 20,000-foot view, you'd think that the Packers offense should be able to put up points. I'm just concerned that the Steelers are going to get that running game going, and Rodgers is going to be patient and take the Packers, basically what we've seen Flacco and Brissett do.
Yep.
And then take his shots with, Metcalf, like the same kind of guy that, like, pretty much has been destroying us the last few weeks.
Right.
With these elite receivers just making plays. It'll be interesting, though. Like, I do think we're going to be able to get pressure on him, too. But, man, has he been historically pretty damn good against that. So I could really see this game going either way. But I'm emotionally preparing to take a loss.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
If this game was in Green Bay, I don't know. I'm kind of glad it's not. Because I don't want to hear people booing Rodgers.
Right.
I was at the game when Favre returned as a Viking. That was tough. Not only because he beat us, but it was just the whole thing was tough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just interested in what you think is going to happen here, because I can see both scenarios. I mean, it probably comes down to which quarterback makes a mistake, and if neither does, it probably comes down to, a couple plays. I don't see a scenario really where, unless some team is just absolutely self-destructing, where somebody blows each other out of that building. So, man, this is going to be I think it's probably going to be a nail-biter. And I'm interested to get your thoughts on it. We'll talk to you.
Well, it's interesting, too, because, I mean, that kind of is the thought here, what you mentioned about how they're going to have to attack us with establish the run game and then take your shots with DK. The interesting part about that is it's like we're all terrified of, peak Rodgers. This is, 2020 Sunday Night Football. The guy's just an absolute beast, airing it out down the field. The problem is that Rodgers probably loses. That Rodgers, I mean, obviously good Rodgers is not what I'm specifically referring to. I'm just talking about like air it out, dropping back, 30-yard bombs. If he gets a little excitable on Sunday Night Football and wants to be aggressive and wants to, lets the moment kind of get the better of him where he wants to show up and show off against his old team, that may end up working against him because even though you want to pick your shots occasionally, you don't want to sit back in the pocket with this pass rush and, threaten one of the strengths of or the strength of our secondary, which is our safeties. And so he's going to have to be, if he wants to win, which of course he does, but I mean, if he wants, vengeance or whatever the case may be, he's going to have to actually take a step back and let Arthur Smith kind of run the show, which we know, as much as we think we know about Rodgers being quote unquote spiteful, we also have the same sort of stereotypes of Rodgers not wanting to concede power as far as how the offense works. Seemingly, though, he already has been doing that in terms of, you look at the way the offense is working right now. It has been a lot of Arthur Smith with his tight ends and his power run game and all that kind of stuff that's been sort of running the show. So that's the kind of Rodgers he's going to have to be. I think it's going to be kind of like it would honestly be more like 2020 Rodgers. I mentioned that, kind of joking, meaning more like 2011. 2020, though, was when we kind of felt like we saw, or from my perspective, we started to see Rodgers really meld into this Matt Lafleur system a little bit and lean into it with the motion and get the run game going and play off of that. And it was that kind of a thing that I felt like was the best version of Lafleur Rodgers. And I think that's the version he's going to have to be if he wants to win. Because, again, I think if he gets a little ahead of himself and starts getting a little bit too impatient, wanting to kind of punish, and honestly, that's where our offense can really help out a lot. Because if we can jump out to a lead, he's going to not have much of a choice but to try to be a little bit more aggressive. So if we can get our foot on the gas and keep it on I know I'm asking for a lot here, but I'm just saying then we're going to force Rodgers into that mode. And maybe it's a dangerous game to play, baiting him into that. But honestly, that's what's going to set up our pass rush. And that's the other side of it, too, as far as this game is concerned. Because, on one hand, I envision this as, again, I'm seeing Sunday Night Football. I'm seeing all the things that make Rodgers the Hall of Famer that he is, and that scares me to death. On the other hand, I can see the Packers being that Achilles heel, even in those elite years. I can see this being that frustrating team that doesn't really let you run the ball very much. I mean, the Packers' run defense, despite the complaints that our DTs are not very good, and we need Wyatt back and all that. I mean, we are one of the top run defense teams in football. But beyond that, the pass rush, I mean, we saw it against Tampa Bay. We saw it against San Francisco. You got that frustrating defensive front. The years, even against bad teams, when the Packers are a good team, like the year against Buffalo. I don't know if you guys remember that game. But, Buffalo was just a classic crap football team. They're not, I mean, they got a, Rex Ryan style. I don't know if that's who their defensive coordinator was at the time, but it was one of those kind of AFC East, Rex Ryan style defenses. But they're a bad football team, and the Packers are a dominant team. But it just, that pass rush gets there, and we can't really do anything, and the offensive line can't block, and then you see Rodgers start to get frustrated, and nothing's working, and that's what we need. We need that side of things. We need to be that frustrating defense that just gets up in his head, and I know you mentioned he's historically very good against the rush and all that. He really has not been this year. I think as he's gotten older, the mobility, he's getting a lot of praise for still being mobile, but I do think it's gotten to him a little. We saw that even at the end of his tenure here in Green Bay, he was not as good under pressure, especially hearing footsteps. And that's, I think, the biggest thing here is, let's be honest, you get a little older, those hits don't feel too good, and your body doesn't heal as much, and it is not fun. And you start getting popped from Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary and all these guys, suddenly, that's the difference too that's been frustrating is when we get pass rushers in there, but the composure of Joe Flacco is what kind of kept him in the game. And I'm hoping if we can get, rather than composure, we can get Rodgers to kind of panic a little bit and to kind of take his eyes off the field. That's when we can kind of have him in a really solid spot to impose our will a little bit. All right, let's take our final break. We have technically 14 calls, but it's a lot less than that because we got about 5 Garretts in a row here. So I think we might be able to pull this off. Let's do our best here.
Hey, Ryan, this is Bogeyman out in the left coast.
What's up, dog?
I had a question. Did the Packers get a bit of a break on that Tucker Kraft touchdown catch? It seemed to me that Josh Jacobs was moving towards the line near Love and was not set before the ball was snapped. I was really surprised. And one other thing, could you please explain to me the yards per pass attempt stat? I just don't get that at all. All right, man. Love the show. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, second time caller. Bye.
Oh, nice. Well, welcome back. Glad to have you back. Second-time callers are even better than first-time callers because it's, that first-time call, you never know if they're going to come back. Once you're a second-time caller, it's like you're a lifer now, dog. You ain't going anywhere. I'm sorry. You better just tell your family that this is a commitment that you've made. So I don't remember the call or the play, excuse me. So I can't really help a ton there. I haven't even heard the discourse, so I haven't really had time. Usually people are posting up the plays and everything, and then I can kind of get my thoughts on it. I have no idea. So I'm not much help there. As far as the statistic, what did you say? Yards per pass attempt? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing literally what it means. If you're talking about the utility of it, I mean, I guess you kind of, for me, some of these are kind of intuitive. I don't think yards per attempt is necessarily seen as some premier stat that's going to give you a great idea of how good a quarterback is, but it tells you what it tells you. How's that for an answer? But, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you got yards per attempt, you also have yards per completion. And I think it's one of those stats, too, where you really probably want to marry it with some other stats because it can be a great stat, it can be a terrible stat. You could just be launching it 50 yards down the field and not completing anything, and you suck. That's where yards per completion probably is going to be a little bit of a better stat. But I think where yards per attempt tends to be a little bit more beneficial is on the low end. You see, so it helps me build out a picture. When I look at this game, for example, with Aaron Rodgers, I'm trying to kind of figure out, okay, how do they play football? What are they doing? What's working? What's not working? And so when you kind of put all the pieces together, for example, when I look at the under pressure statistics and I can see, well, he's good when he's not under pressure and he's not good when he is under pressure. And then I look at his time to throw when he's not under pressure and I can see that first of all, the percentage, he's very rarely under pressure. And then for all those plays, his average time to throw is like 2.25 seconds or something. So the majority of his plays, he is not under pressure. And I can assume that it's likely because he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. And then when you look at his average yards per attempt, you see it's a very low number. It's probably reasonable to assume that the picture we're painting here is of a team that really doesn't try to push the ball down the field a ton. They're taking short passes to get the ball out of his hand quickly, which is keeping him free from pressure. That's kind of the picture that it's painting. I think you can also paint with a little bit of a broad brush and look at it from a standpoint of how they play football, just generally, successfully or not. Do you push the ball down the field or do you not? 8.5 yards per attempt compared to 5.5 yards per attempt is a very different type of offense. Does it really tell me who's a good quarterback and not? Not really, but I think if we assume that you're going to push that number as high as you possibly can, I think generally you're going to see a much more successful offense with a higher number, because if you're not succeeding with that number, then necessarily you're going to have a coach at least try to get the quarterback to rein that in. And that's where you see like the Chicago Bears for all these years with Fields and even Caleb and everybody else. It became this dink and dunk offense. And everybody's mad at the coach, like, why are you running that kind of offense? And it's like, well, it's because of the caliber of your offense, specifically your quarterback and what he's able to do. And so there is going to be some correlation between the higher numbers being better and the lower numbers being worse off. So hopefully that answers your question.
Hey, Ryan, this is Dakota, that nerd in Tennessee.
Yo.
And I have some slightly devastating news to me.
Okay.
So last Saturday, I was supposed to lead a nighttime hike. I'm a state park ranger in Tennessee.
You are indeed.
And there was a nighttime hike I was supposed to lead, but we were supposed to get thunderstorms. I had to reschedule the freaking thing, and I had to reschedule it for this coming Sunday. And I came to that realization today, mainly because when I'm at work, I have a million of these programs that I'm doing, and I'm just kind of scheduling on a calendar, and I can't, unfortunately, let a game dictate when I schedule something. I tried to leave it open, but it was a reschedule date. So I'm absolutely devastated. My program starts at 7 p.m., and then we're going to spend an hour and a half in the woods. And be done by 8:30. So at least I get to catch part of the game, but I don't get to catch the beginning when Rodgers comes out, and then see how many Packers fans travel. And I want to see the beginning, even though we usually, I don't know, actually we don't usually start slow. We've only started slow very recently. But either way, I'm sad, dude. Like, I need somebody to lift me up, so I'm calling y'all. To let you know that I'm sad and I'm going to miss the first half of that game. And that sucks. And that's all I really wanted to say, because I can't think of anything else other than the fact that Wicks is probably not going to be able to play. So, you know, that's kind of rough. I mean, that's one more receiver. And if Watson does come, he'll definitely be on the snap count.
Yeah.
I'm just working through this now. Maybe Kraft will have a big game. I hear tight ends are doing really well against the Steelers this year. And they got, what is it, Sean Hachuli, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
Whatever the dude's name is. Big arm dude.
Yeah, big dude.
And I did note, I saw that the penalty that he calls the most is offensive holding. So we can only pray that actually helps us out. That he might actually call it every so often when it happens, almost every play. Anyway, all right, I'll let you go. Bye.
Well, if I was a better person, I would try to cheer you up, but instead I'm going to cheer myself up because I'm just picturing you at the end of your hike excursion thing, screaming at people, including like the old people that are going to be with you, to hurry the hell up because you got to watch the Packer game. Let's go, move it, pick it up, folks. Let's go. Come on, dig deep. Let's go. We got to move it. Or better yet, you taking them for a walk around the parking lot real quick, and then it's like, all right, folks, appreciate you coming out. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye. It's good times. I'm sorry that that's happening to you. This is terrible timing. And I hope that something happens and you can find a way out. Maybe it'll rain and you can just send out a message. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be tornadoes and hurricanes and lava flows. So, gonna have to cancel, folks. I'll see you next week, kind of thing. I'm trying to help you here, man. I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. You could just refuse to go. I'm not going ever.
Yeah, Ryan, Green Bay 10 here.
Yo.
I am literally on my lunch workout. 65-year-old man, so I run every day. I got to keep it going.
Atta boy.
Besides the point, don't get a little lost. I am now listening to your podcast
Okay.
on Metro. And my brain is hurting me, and you're only 4 minutes in, and not even.
I apologize.
ADD? Yeah. But keep going. I'll keep listening.
I had somebody posted that meme of the guy from Always Sunny with all the conspiracy stuff going on. He's like, yeah, this was you today. That's for sure. Sometimes I got to get stuff off my chest, man. I got thousands of episodes, okay? Sometimes I gotta be free, man. You know what I mean? I'm like a peacock. You gotta let me fly. So, Drew, what's going on?
Hey Ryan, Drew from Green Bay, and one thing I wanted to talk about is the hip drop tackle from last week is I thought that was a good call, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's the correct call.
For the conspiracy theorists out there, which I dabble in that a little bit, it is a bit ironic that Parsons, criticizes the officials last week for not calling holding, and then he gets called on something that basically is never called on anybody. It's been called like one time in this entire season, and then the very next week he gets called for it. But the non-conspiracy side to it is like, I went back and looked at it, and it's like, to a T, the only aspect that wasn't really bad about that was that he didn't really fully roll up on him, on Brissett to cause the injury. But like everything else was like really bad in terms of technique and what the NFL wants to remove. So I'm not gonna lose sleep over them calling it. And then for the next week, the Rodgers revenge game. I hear some people calling it that. To me, I mean, I guess I just have too much respect for Rodgers to call it a revenge game just because he left. And it wasn't like super bad terms. It's just kind of like
I always took Rodgers' revenge game as Rodgers getting revenge. I don't. Some people might view it as us getting revenge against Rodgers. I think it's, in my mind, when people say that, it's Rodgers' revenge tour kind of a thing.
But he got annoyed, and it was time for him to go. He overstayed his welcome at the end, I felt. And you know, but I don't really feel there's the same, like, bad blood that there was with Favre. When, like, Favre left, and he did everything he could to try to get to the Vikings.
Right.
To play us and hurt us, basically. And now, so every time we faced Favre, that was a revenge game.
Right.
And, you know, Rodgers was asked about it, and he said that, you know, it's in Pittsburgh, so that's different too. And, you know, that's a good point, is like, it's not like it's in Lambeau Field with the Packers fans. So, I don't know. To me, I don't want this to be about Rodgers and being emotional that we're playing Rodgers. I want our team to be like, we need this win because of what it means for our season.
Yep.
And we need to play well and improve our play, not just worry about beating Rodgers. We need to worry about growing our play so that we're the best we can be in the playoffs. And, you know, I don't want to have like an emotional letdown next week because we were super emotional against Rodgers. I don't think we'll see that. Anyways, have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, if nothing else, enough time has passed. I mean, Rodgers hasn't, from what I can tell, I haven't seen him act in a bitter fashion toward the Packers. I think, you know, in the beginning there was, it was a much more heated dynamic between the Packers and the Packers fans, and you know, which side you took and all that kind of stuff. I don't see that as being as big of a thing anymore. Again, aside from some clingers on, some anti-Rodgers people that'll never let it go, and some pro-Rodgers people that'll never let it go. It's such a ridiculous thing. But, you know, I think the other good thing is how big of a game this is gives us the opportunity to do that. You know, I mean, if you wanted to, you could very easily treat it as, you know, a very respectful game between two good teams. It's good to see you again, you know. May the best man win kind of a deal. You know, it doesn't have to be anything really more than that. And that's a positive side. I mean, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I mean, I want him to have a terrible game, obviously. But it's not because of any animosity toward Aaron Rodgers. In fact, you know, I watched that game against the Bengals, and it's hard to be a Packer fan and not enjoy that and to see that and get excited about it. I don't want him to win the Super Bowl. I don't want him to have a ton of success over there. Partially for the sake of just being petty, partially for the sake of being jealous. You know, I mean, if he, you know, people talk about how Brett Favre's best year was with Minnesota, and it makes my stomach, like, I just want to throw up when people say that, whether that's true or not. It is some validity to it. If Rodgers, after all these years of saying, you know, we let Rodgers down and all this kind of stuff, and he should have like 3 Super Bowls or however many people think, if he goes to Pittsburgh and in his first year gets a Super Bowl, it's going to make me sick. It's going to absolutely make me sick. Not because of any anti-Rodgers stuff, just because of all that. This is where you were a legend. This is where you got your Super Bowl. This is, you know, Green Bay. If you want to go play over there, you go play over there. That's fine. But this is not, the Steelers are not where you go and reinvent yourself and become better than you were here or win as many Super Bowls as you did here. We're not playing that game. I'm not dealing with that. So, yeah, I guess that's it. But yeah, again, it is a big enough game where we do have more to worry about than Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, Pack Daddy. Just calling to ask what seems like, honestly, a question that I don't understand why people haven't been asking it for a while now.
All right.
Where's Marshawn Lloyd? This guy we had such high hopes for.
Nobody cares
flashed
anymore.
in the training camp season, gets injured in preseason again, and I guess my expectations was, okay, he's going to be out 4 weeks, no big deal. But we're into almost 7 weeks and still not even seeing him practice, dude. Has anybody heard anything about his injury, about what's going on? Because, I mean, honestly, it's like, you know, Watson's going to be coming back against the Steelers, probably on a limited pitch count. But, you know, there's nothing been talking about Lloyd yet. And nobody's asking about him. So why aren't they asking about him? Or have I just missed something? Because maybe they have and I just didn't see it. But we're going to have to put his face on a milk carton?
I just don't think there's anything really to ask about. I think it's just, you know, the guy's hurt. We don't need him. We have running backs. And, you know, I think, I mean, I don't, there's nothing to ask really. It is what it is. He's hurt. I think most of us have kind of moved on with our lives. If he ends up becoming some kind of a great player, cool. But I don't know that anyone's really holding their breath for that. And, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know that anybody massively, I don't want to be too harsh or say cares, but kind of. Nobody cares. I think we've either compartmentalized it as he's a bust or he's just never going to be healthy, so who cares? Or, you know, I'll start caring when he gets back. But, I mean, those are kind of your only options, I think. I don't know where else you go from there. Randy.
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy in Minnesota.
What's up?
Dude, you just killed it with that Rodgers song.
Oh, good.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Loved it, obviously. Just loved it. On another subject, another side of this, everyone was talking about that game in Arizona. Maybe I'm the positive fan. I'm looking at it like I almost feel like this team, for want of a better description, crossed the Rubicon. They became a team that believed in each other. They fought for each other. And Lafleur finally really got into it with love. And on that fourth down play, he's like, no, this is my man, and we're going to go for it. From everything I read and heard about on interviews, this team has a lot to be proud of. They really fought for each other and hung with each other. So that's going to go a long way in the future in games where we're like trying to pull it out at the very end. They know they got it. So that's all I got. Looking forward to Sunday night. Can't get here quick enough. Love Rodgers, but I want to beat his head in the ground. Anyway, go Pack, go. Bye.
Yeah, I'm feeling the nerves, man. And it sucks that it's Sunday night because the nerves have started Saturday night for me now. I mean, they started during the week a little bit, but now they're like full-time sticking with me. Tomorrow's going to be rough, man. I'm going to have to keep busy and figure out some other stuff to do to occupy my thoughts because that's going to be a anxiety-riddled day for sure.
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Yo.
To quote Andy Bernard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I annoyed you with my friendship.
My friendship?
Sorry about all the calls, dude.
You're good.
I was trying to keep them all really short questions, so I had a bunch of questions in a row. But I was trying to count the minutes and trying to keep them under, all of them accumulated under 3 minutes. So I'll try to do a better job of just throwing you real quick questions and
not do a whole bunch all at once. So when you're sitting in a squad car and you're doing a security detail, you've got a lot of time on your hands, and you can think up a lot of questions and things to call in about. So hope you have a good weekend, and go Pack Go.
No, you're good. I think in general, the best way to kind of think about it is if you got questions or thoughts, please get it in, because if we need it, I'd rather have it. The only thing is, if we're kind of like in a situation like this, or if we have a lot of calls, I might kind of skip a few of them. So, don't do it unless you're okay with the potential, especially, later in the week or whatever, for that call kind of getting skipped, I guess. But otherwise, yeah, it's just do what you got to do, and I'll have to make whatever decisions I got to make, I guess, would be my thought. But again, I'd rather have the calls than not.
Hey, Ryan, it's Craig from Indiana, driving over to Pittsburgh for the game with my grandson Peyton. Say hi, Peyton. Hey. So excited about that. It should be an awesome game. Very excited to see Rodgers playing again, but obviously rooting for the Packers. A little nervous about our wide receiver injury report. Hopefully Golden can go. Also nervous about Christian Watson playing on the Pittsburgh turf. I watched their home game a few weeks ago, and it just looked terrible.
That's not turf, man. That's grass.
I mean, grass. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, grass. But because it was just like so dry and dead, and just clumps coming up, and just concerned about Watson playing on that field. I'm concerned about ever playing on that field, but obviously given his recovery, not that I'm trying to curse it, but I hopefully everyone gets out of there unscathed. But we know how bad fields have affected us before. So anyway, go Pack Go, and we'll probably chat after the game. Maybe we'll call during the game if there's something worth talking about. But should be fun. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, I always hope it's as good of a game or a good enough of a game that if people are going or whatever, first of all, I want you guys to have a good time. I know it's a big investment, not just financially, but time and expectations and all that. But I always hope it's a good enough game that I'm getting calls from the stadium of people just cheering and screaming and having a good time. Because that's much better than the alternative, where it's like, I haven't heard from you. I know why, so don't worry about it. But I'm just saying, it's hope you're doing all right, because it's been quiet over here. But no, I hope it's a good time. Hope you all have fun, and again, hopefully I'll be hearing from you with some good news.
Ryan, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there. Hey man, Big E calling, been a while. I just wanted to make a couple of comments here, I guess very disparate thoughts, but first thing is I really like this team on track to do better and better. I know it's spotty still, all those things. But I think we are catching teams playing at their absolute best when we're.
I'm getting that feeling, man.
We're supposed to at least beat soundly, if not, obviously beat. Period, as in case of the Browns. But that's a good thing, I think, catching these teams at their peaks, because a win over an easy team or a team that's messing up, it doesn't mean much when you get into the playoff hunt. So. That's my first thought, I guess. And also, I really love Matthew Golden's progress. I really think he is on track. He seems to be having a little struggle with his particular placement on the field. Not necessarily field position, but I'm saying where he is on the field. Because, stepping out of bounds when he really doesn't have to is that deed. When he catches the ball, he has to concentrate for a moment to realize where he is in some cases. And I think that's all something that's going to come, because right now he's just putting a lot of concentration on making sure he catches those balls, and he does. Those are some sticky hands. So I'm really happy about that. And I think eventually, after a few more games under his belt and the panic of having much larger guys come at a much faster speed than he's ever seen in his life, he'll get accustomed to that and kind of be able to, the muscle memory, if you will, of his field position will come in. So that's that about Golden. And that's the other thing I've been thinking about for a while. I don't know if you or anybody else commented on it. I'm probably real late to this game, but isn't it nice having a really big quarterback? I mean, he's a big man.
He is big.
And
forget about that
back
sometimes.
Back in the day, Aaron especially, and even Favre, they were tough guys. Don't get me wrong. But if they got hit, I mean, it's a good chance they're going to break. And I know. I know Love has had some issues with injuries and so forth. I'm not saying he's indestructible, but he is, I think, able to withstand some things.
Sure.
And run the ball. He can run and plow into people again without me having a heart attack because he's a big guy. It's kind of a luxury. I love it. I mean, he's no Brisket, big old Jacoby Brisket. He's not that size, but he's big.
Yes.
And so that's kind of cool. And the only real problem I have is I don't know the PFF grades and so forth, but I'm a little concerned about the D backfield. It seems to be falling short. But that's all I had. Good on you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of on the same page with that, just to varying degrees where we're at with that. Hopeful for some slightly better play. I know, I forget who it was now, but somebody had called in just a little earlier talking about how we need to start pressing these guys up, and you're right, but I also think we have been to some degree, and I just don't think that it's really working all that well. We press the guys, and then they run these quick slants and are able to get enough separation with, again, quarterbacks playing freaking out of their minds. But I wouldn't say I'm super panicked about it. I mean, same for Golden. I mean, there's a lot of very angry Packer fans when it comes to Matthew Golden. I'm really not. I mean, I wish it was different, but it doesn't super upset me because he's it's like because he's good, people are upset. For me, because he's good, I'm not upset. Because he's good, I'm fine being patient. I mean, it'll figure itself out. I'm not gonna buy into this whole ridiculous concept of Matt Lafleur he's never gonna let us have a good receiver ever again, and bro, relax. All right, I again, I'm not positive if it's more to do with him taking the Christian Watson role, which I'm hopeful that with Watson playing there'll be less of that with Golden, which means he gets to be more of a playmaker. I think there's also going to be, like I've said 1,000 times, more familiarity and comfortability with Matt Lafleur and with Jordan. All these things over time are going to materialize into him becoming a bigger part of the offense and being more of the superstar that I think that he is. But my fear was always significantly less about, whether he's going to be a superstar or not, but whether he's going to be a bust or not. And the fact that I can sit here and say this guy's floor right now is so incredibly high, I'm excited about that. I'm extremely excited about that. So, I'm very willing to be patient. I love that he's on the team. I hope that he's not getting frustrated. A lot of people want to read in between the lines with all these messages that he's sending out. He put like an LOL up, like as some rookie receiver got a touchdown. He doesn't have a touchdown yet, so it's, whether it's good-natured or he's actually upset, and there's all the, trust God's timing type of stuff. And I'm sure it probably does to some degree bother him. He had visions in his mind, as all competitors do, of being great, not just good, but great. And, whatever. But I'm not upset. I'm not nervous about it. I would prefer that he was just the greatest, wide receiver in football right now, but I'm very happy with where he's at, and I'm very happy with the group as a whole, and I'm excited about the fact that I do think it's just going to keep getting better. I think when he starts to get into that role a little bit more, it's just going to continue to get better. But there is going to be more evolution. When Watson comes back, we now have a different offense, and we have to change the way that we play offense. Some of that's going to be good, and some of that's going to be having to settle in. The other problem is going to be when Reed comes back, because I think, especially when Watson gets back, but already we're starting to see Golden take more of a slot role. What happens when Reed comes back? I don't know. Reed's not going outside, so Golden's going to have to be much more outside, but we already have Watson, we already have Dobbs. So what do you do with Golden? I mean, he's still going to be out there quite a bit, but again, it's just there's a lot that needs to be fleshed out. He's not going to be a 1,500-yard receiver this year. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but I think he's going to be a very good receiver, and I think it's going to help us win lots of games in the future. I'm very happy he's a Green Bay Packer.
Pack Daddy, just listen to the last two podcasts. The AI songs hit hard, man. The one about Rodgers and the one about Love. Dude, I feel like I could run through that steel curtain like it's a cheap Motel 6 shower curtain. Go Pack, go. Let's go get them.
I'm glad you guys like it.
Brian.
Yeah, thank you. I just like with the podcast material and all that, I never really know what's going to be good and what's not. I've kind of shied away a little bit from the songs only because I've been doing a couple, and I don't know if I'm just getting pickier or what, but I'm like, that song isn't that good. And I finally just give up, and I'm like, I'm just going to do like a normal thing today. And this was kind of one of them. You know, the Rodgers songs I thought were good, not great. And I've gotten a ton of really good feedback about that song. So obviously I'm getting a little picky with my AI song standards, I guess. So I'm glad you guys like them, and I will be sure to keep them coming as much as I can. I know I've got people like, I'm on Spotify. Where's that new Rodgers song? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm sorry. I'm slacking here. I'm glad that there's such a demand. I'll have to step it up, but you know, my time is. I have to pick what I do at what times, and so if the songs are a priority, then let's make the songs a priority. But I just kind of been putting them a little bit more on the back burner because I figure I know a lot of people like them, but it's not everybody or whatever. So, long story short, I'm very happy you like it. I like doing it. I find it a lot of fun. I'm trying to find ways to introduce variety because the songs are starting to sound a little bit more similar if I'm not super ultra specific. Like the song Tomorrow, I think, is another rap song that I tried to do a certain kind of thing, and it's like I feel like a lot of the rap songs sound like this, and I was trying to make it a very specific thing. I don't know. But I've actually been saving some songs as I hear them, especially if they're different genres, so I can kind of explore a few different ideas. I can also take music samples, so if I hear some goofy stuff online or whatever, I could grab that and use that. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. But a lot of times it's like this, where it's like, oh, shoot, I'm getting kind of late on time here. I got to real quick try to spin up a song, and it's either good and I use it, or it's not, and I just throw the original outro on there. But I got a little bit of time tonight, so let's do something. I don't know what, but it's got to be Steelers Rodgers related, so we'll figure it out. Y'all have a good rest of your night. I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All night in Steel City. Everything we build, everything we need. One game, one moment. October winds cut through the stadium lights. Number 12 on the other side. Ghosts of frozen nights. We grew up watching legends carved in green and gold. Now we stand across the line from stories we were told. Jordan's got the keys, but Aaron built the throne. Lambeau Field echoes still, but now he's far from home. This ain't just another game, this is legacy defined. Championship aspirations running through my mind. We need this win to prove we're more than what they say. But to get there, gotta break the heart to pave the way. Pittsburgh cold, but nothing like the tundra that we know. Still we carry something heavy everywhere we go. We remember everything. 400 touchdowns in our colors, now we wears the black and gold. We remember everything. To reach our dreams, we gotta lead the past out in the cold. This is the moment under Sunday night sky. Everything we work for, everything's on the line. Gotta take down a legend just to prove we can fly. Thank you for the memories, but tonight you say goodbye. Cold October evening, destination those comebacks, Hail Marys in the snow. Bell celebration echoes from a decade ago. But seasons changing, so do we. The torch has been passed down. Jordan loves ascending while the king wears Pittsburgh's crown. There's respect in every snap, there's honor in this fight. But we didn't come to Pittsburgh just to lose on Sunday night. This game defines a narrative, contenders or pretenders. North Division championship running through December. Matt Lafleur's got the vision, Josh Jacobs got the fire. Michael Parsons bringing pressure, defense taking us higher. And when that final whistle blows and we leave a Christian, we'll have taken one more step toward what we're destined for. Slow it down, Aaron, you gave us everything, everything. Championships and memories made us believe in dreams. But Jordan's writing his own story now, and to become what we're meant to be, we gotta let you. This is how it has to be. This is a moment under Sunday night sky. Then everything we work for